Hi, everybody. I'm Dan McDermott. Welcome to Google Plus Week, our weekly look at tech news. Joining me from New York is Alan Furstenberg. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, Dan.
It's been 7 days since I've spoken to you. Okay, so our first story is interesting. Some some YouTube gaming stuff, and there's some changes. The most notable to me is you either can or will be able to stream live from Android devices, and I haven't heard if that's going to go to iOS at some point, or if it can. But this is obviously an interesting development. What do you think, Alan?
I think this is great. I think this is brilliant, and I think it demonstrates the fact that Google is, thinking 6 months behind everyone else.
So, okay, mobile capture, live stream, or record your mobile games, host your stream with your selfie cam, and record your commentary with your phone's microphone. I saw a demo of that, and it looks really cool. But in practice, like here,
it is. There's no doubt about it. As far as I understand, this is not something actually that Twitch currently offers. So this is, and I could be wrong because I don't use Twitch, but Google's figured out that mobile gaming is the future, and they've jumped on it. Unfortunately, they haven't figured out that other forms of live streaming, of mobile live streaming, are also the future, and they haven't jumped on that, which boggles the imagination.
Say that again. They haven't figured out what?
Can't figure out that Periscope exists.
Yeah.
I mean, no, seriously. Every write-up I've seen of this talks about how great it is, how easy it is, just a couple of clicks, and you're live broadcasting using your mobile device. And that's great, and that's wonderful, and I actually do think that's great and wonderful. But the fact is, Periscope is eating their lunch. If YouTube wants to exist in a year, they need to have had that app out a year ago. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but it does. I don't know.
The deal is that they seem to think that live gaming broadcasting is a bigger deal than live everything else broadcasting. Which, okay, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not looking at the demographics, but the fact that everyone, and by everyone I mean everyone is talking about Meerkat and Periscope, and nobody, pretty close to nobody, talking about YouTube gaming. I think it says something.
How do you fix the max headroom thing?
Why didn't you tell me before we went on air?
It was fine before you went on there.
I'm ranting, isn't it? Fine. I'll fix it.
Okay. So here's what they're saying here while he's doing that. New features: mobile capture, live stream. If your phone is Lollipop and higher, and you can, so your selfie cam.
And remember this, Google. They don't care about you if phone isn't Lollipop higher.
Right, and you're still really bad audio. Faster discovery of live streams for games in your collection. Support your favorite creators with fan funding. Easy video bookmarking with Watch Later. Import existing subscriptions from YouTube via settings, performance improvements, and bug fixes. So I see when they announced YouTube Gaming, they said all the same content would still be on YouTube. But are they diverging now? It was like a different UI.
No, it's just different UI from what I can tell. That in fact, more than ever, you can get the exact same content on both. I sound now.
Pretty bad. I think you've got the mic hooked up. Maybe you're listening to it, but I don't think you've selected that mic yet as your input device. I'm speculating, and I apologize to our viewers. And I'm sure we'll hear max headroom jokes.
Hey, everything from the 80s is all new again anyway, so.
All right,
Was that any better?
Yeah, it's way better. Thank you. All right, next is mixed reviews for Google Plus brand pages management design.
Really? You've heard mixed reviews?
No, I was just toning it down.
I was going to say, because every single review I've read, including from Google Plus top contributors, has talked about how it sucks shit.
Okay. So tell us, yeah, even from like real fanboys or fangirls, they're not amused.
Yeah, basically what it sounds like is in yet another, well, let's face it, pages were a misguided feature to begin with. And in trying to unscrew it up, they seem to have, it's not clear what they've done, but they have clarified at least one of the things that they messed up in the first place. The concept of Google Plus local pages, which were pages that were generated for you, contrasted with Google Plus brand pages, I guess they were calling them now, were hidden under the covers for a while, and now they're making them two much clearer, distinct entities. They're doing this by creating a whole new console, and essentially by ripping all of these features out of Google Plus itself. So whereas before you used to be able to manage pages inside Google Plus, it's now done through a separate console, which has some advantages, especially if you don't want to attach your brand page to a sinking ship. What?
I have Google Plus pages, which I never use except for this show, and the only thing I do is post the show. And then I have some Facebook pages. It just seems like it's a much better experience on Facebook than it is on Google Plus.
Really? What do you find better about it?
Everything. I don't know. Just the notifications are better. I don't know. It's friendlier. And
you don't know, but they're obviously different. But you can't tell me how.
I don't know. I just
because it's pretty clear to me that pages were a direct ripoff of Facebook pages.
Yeah. And so now there's an issue with inviting a page to a Hangout. What are the reasons why someone would do that?
Well, one of the things that it used to be is pages, when they wanted to run Hangouts, one of the things they would normally do is have somebody else actually run the Hangout and then invite a page to it. People who were invited on as part of their brand, as opposed to the individual, you'd be inviting a page on. Now that's gotten a lot more difficult. Basically because there's no direct way to invite a page anymore. Fortunately, there's still some shortcuts in doing so, and Gerwin's written an extension, a Hangout app, and miraculously enough was actually able to get a Hangout app to work, because those aren't working very well anymore either. And you look like you have a toothache, Dan.
I have a toothache.
Ah, that would explain it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have.
Anyway, Gerwin wrote a Hangout app that now helps you invite pages back into the Hangouts because Google doesn't want you to do that anymore.
The way they keep killing underutilized features makes me fear for Google Plus.
Why? If it's underutilized, then nobody is going to miss it.
Be quite embarrassing for us. Okay, so
why? You think all 5 of our viewers would miss us? Really?
Most watch after. All right, so one of the things that I thought was neat, but they have killed off, the OK Google detection on Chrome. I say it's neat. I tried it once, and okay, that's neat, and I never used it again.
Right, you and probably everyone else.
Yeah. So no one's lamenting this.
No one's lamenting this because everyone realized that saying OK Google in an office space was a pretty stupid idea. I mean, as clever as it seems, talking to your desktop computer, it just doesn't make sense. It really seemed like somebody thought it was a cool idea and implemented it. What I do think we're going to see over time, however, and along with this, they've also announced the deprecation of the notification bar inside Chrome. I really would not be surprised to see if we saw the broader voice recognition API, which we're seeing in Android, rolled out in broader contexts.
The deprecation of the notification bar in Chrome. Can you explain what the hell you're talking about?
Sure, this was yet another feature that nobody ever used. There was a brief period in time, I guess it's been several months, where you could enable your notification bar to be part of Chrome. So the notifications that you currently would get as part of Android notifications, for example, would now appear as Chrome notifications. And these have now been deprecated in the Linux, iOS, and Windows version of Chrome. It's still going to be in Chrome OS because it doesn't have a native notification system. But increasingly, they're going to be using native notifications where available. This should be no huge surprise.
Okay. All right. Next up, that's the long-running lawsuit on the
This
book.
lawsuit's been going on for over 10 years.
Longer than a Donald Trump feud. He just reignited a 25-year-old feud with the Harper's editor or whatever, or Vanity Fair, one of those things. Okay, so Google's book scanning project is legal, says the U.S. Appeals Court. So I guess, did Google win the first time? And they appealed it, right? The books, the authors. This is where they scan books and they
No, actually, I think they lost it the first time, and Google appealed. And now the circuit court has ruled that what Google is trying to do is legal and within the bounds of fair use.
I think it's great. I like the project, but I noticed that these authors don't want their books scanned. Can they not opt out, or is it that they're scanning stuff if they can't find?
Well, let's understand what it is that Google is scanning and doing. Basically, they've teamed up with a number of research libraries and university libraries and so forth, and they're digitizing all of their collections. Now, this includes some rare and out-of-print books, and it includes some books that are in print currently. Google has scanned them, is scanning them, probably has scanned them all by now, and is making them available to the libraries, but with the caveat to the libraries that they still need to purchase the actual copies of the books. So what this is doing is creating an online version of an existing thing that the universities should already have. So the university, one of the arguments they were saying is, look, we're not giving something to people who don't already have this. What we're giving them is an index into a book, a copyrighted material that they already have. We're creating an index for it. And
which
the
used
way
to be a very expensive thing. You used to be able to buy those, but they were big books, series of them, and they were very expensive because, of course, it had very expensive to make and a low number of people who would buy such a thing.
Right.
Now, this also is how they, in Google.com, when you do a search, you can search the web or you can search images, and books is one of those things. That's the origin of the data for that.
That is the origin of the data.
It is. That's what's in it for Google.
Correct. And one of the things that Google has argued is that they return a very brief segment of the book, which they argue is valid under fair use claims. The court initially ruled that no, this is not fair use because they weren't doing it for purely academic reasons. They were doing it for commercial reasons as well. And apparently, and I haven't read the decision, but my understanding is that this court the circuit court has ruled that the nature of how they are doing it and the broader context of how they are doing it, since it includes academic reasons, it does mean that it is fair use. And since Google is not representing how the universities will be able to use it, in fact, it's saying universities are going to be responsible for correctly licensing these works, that it falls under fair use and proper treatment. Well, I'm guessing that the Authors Guild will be appealing this. So we probably haven't seen the end of this suit, but I'm not sure the Supreme Court would take it up, to be honest.
Okay, so how come? So if your book was in a research library, and so the library had purchased your book, Google would scan it and put it in this system, and you could not object as the author. You couldn't say, "I don't want this."
That's correct.
Yet, if you have a website, you can put a robots.txt file that they do obey. What's the difference?
It's a good question. I would say that the difference is in some ways the nature of the transaction that's going on. In this case, the book has been sold to the libraries, and the libraries are asking for the digital version of it. So Google is not going out by its, Google is not, getting these books shipped to them by publishers. It's not getting the book shipped to them by authors. It's going to the universities, and the universities are having the books scanned that they have already purchased. And there's a little bit of a difference when you're talking about, you purchased an item already. And that's where some of the difference starts to lie.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I used it today as a test. I did a search for Front Royal in quotes, so it had to have, the exact character string and books, and I found some interesting ones, and I was able to go through and look for the search results and books I didn't know existed. So, who knew this town was written about so many times? Okay, next is Skype URLs. We've lost Alan. So, welcome back, Alan.
Yeah, minor glitch on my part. I hit reload on the wrong screen.
Oops. Okay, so next up is Skype URLs make it ridiculously easy to video chat.
Before we do, we've gotten some comments on YouTube.
Okay, go ahead.
So we had Michael Daniels, we had Brad and Michael both said hello. Michael Daniels, I never get a chance to watch the show live since I've been doing a Hangout game show. So I'm looking forward to participating. Michael, I would love to hear more about your Hangout game show. It's great to hear that Hangouts are still alive and well, and it would be nice if Google recognized that fact. He also points out, I have to say, the older I get, I love being able to talk to my computer. I do think we're going to be seeing more and more of this. In fact, I'm still boggled by the fact that we haven't seen the Google voice appliance yet. I don't get why this hasn't happened. But I can imagine that we will, in very short order, see a lot more applications handling voice commands. They will be Android-based because that's where Android is going. And I think you're going to see the equivalent showing up in a dedicated application. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see that technology show up on the desktop. And how it shows up there, I think will be interesting. But I think making it part of Chrome was not the right place to put it.
Okay.
So what's the next story, Dan?
All right, we were talking about how while Google is limiting ways to invite someone to Hangouts, Skype is making it easier to join their thing. I just thought it was an interesting contrast. So Skype is, I guess, one thing I think is very different. You get a Skype URL, and this is, so this looks like it's a URL for this specific call, and that each time you start a new one, it will be a unique URL, I guess. Maybe you could revisit them later. But no Skype account is required. And I think that's a difference between Hangouts, right, and Skype.
Well, that is the difference. To join a Hangout, you do need a Google account still. I don't know how required that is. I mean, over time, they've been making it easier and easier to get to a Hangout. Now, all you do need is a link to join a Hangout. But you do still need an account. But the way they're going, I can easily see them changing that in the near future. I can even picture exactly how they would do it.
You said Google or Skype changing it.
I can see Google doing it.
Okay.
We're almost there. I mean, right now you can give out the URL for this Hangout, and anybody can join it, as long as they have a Google account.
I had to have tech support for Google Drive. I had. I'll tell you after this show. I don't want to say it publicly, but we had some vandalism occur, and so I talked to the Drive. I called them, and they call right away within a minute, or you request a call, then they call you, and she said she wanted to look at my stuff. She couldn't log in as me, but she could do a video thing. I was curious what she was going to use. They used a Hangout, so she could. It was very seamless and quick, and of course it's perfect for them because anybody who's calling with a Google Drive question or issue is going to have a Google account, right? So for other companies, it might not be logical.
And we've had that technology in Hangouts for years. It's been there. Just nobody seems to be taking advantage of it.
Yeah, so, and maybe just because I know how to use them, it was easier for me. I wish I had thought to record that interaction just to see how quickly she was able to take over. But it worked fine. So this is interesting. I just saw this pass my screen. Amazon files a lawsuit against individuals offering fake product reviews on Fiverr. So for $5, Alan will no longer give you a positive review. He'll give you a negative review.
Tell you what, for $5, I will tell anyone that they're an asshole on the air.
And Craig could make money doing this if he got $5 for every time you stroke somebody's product. So that's interesting. I just saw this. This is from TechMeme. It's a TechCrunch article. Okay, so next is, let's see, go Skype. Facebook is building its own YouTube inside of Facebook. So Facebook has pros and cons, and I've got this. I'm not using it tonight, but I've got the YouTube Live thing, which is in their Mentions app, and it's fantastic. It works great. It's real simple. It's just as simple as starting a Periscope or Meerkat session, and it streams to your YouTube. I don't know. I forget if you can do landscape. You may not be able to, but with over half the people watching on phones, maybe portrait's going to win, unfortunately. So the big problem with Facebook is discovery. You do something, it shows up in everybody's stream, you get a lot of clicks. People share it, they reshare it, that kind of thing. But search is terrible on Facebook. You can't find, I mean, I'll see a video that's, like an elephant beating up a lion or whatever it is, and I want to show it to somebody. Once you look at it and you switch to something else, there's no finding it. If you can't remember who originally shared it and Facebook won't show it again, there's no way to search. So then I go to YouTube and do a search for elephants beating up lions, and and the video will be there because everyone copies and re-uploads on other services. So they've failed there, but it looks like they want to create a place where I guess like videos.facebook.com. What do you think, Alan?
I think it's clearly that's what they want to do. YouTube is the player to beat, and Facebook is in a really good position to do that. And the first way that they have to do it is they're harvesting YouTube videos. I mean, I think that part of it is great, or at least brilliant from their point of view. But the biggest problem is Facebook going to be able to, Facebook has a lot of things going on right now. They're trying to go full thruster on this. They're trying to go full thruster on news. They're trying to go full thruster on blogs. They're trying, they're trying to do, full thruster on Office utilities. We'll see where any of them go. But if there's anybody out there right now that has the power to do it, Facebook's probably the one who is. Let's be honest here. And Google, spent 4 years staring at their navel and screwing up. And they're now, Google's 4 years, Google is 4 years behind the times at this point. And That's their problem. That's their fault. And they need to catch up and get back ahead quickly. And we'll see where it goes. So we had some more comments. Carrying on the conversation. Okay, so Jeff Stoner says, I hate Facebook videos because only people with a Facebook account can watch. I much prefer YouTube and Vimeo, both of which have no account necessary. And that's a great point, Jeff. You know, I've got to wonder if
I don't know anybody who
Facebook-
doesn't have a Facebook account, including my 76-year-old parents.
lots of people don't have Facebook accounts. More and more people, in fact, don't have Facebook accounts. Not least of which because people are beginning to be more afraid of Facebook and their privacy screwing over than Google and its privacy invasions. You know, the Scroogled campaign really got a lot of people thinking, and Snowden got a lot of people thinking, and we're seeing more and more people are uncomfortable with Facebook. Just last week, we've had a couple of posts about that. Not to mention the fact that Facebook doesn't want some people on it. So, you know, Facebook is happy to kick people off, you know, if they dare to use their real, you know, their name. But we've had this debate, you know, for 4 years now, Dan.
Yes. Not that that's a reason to stop having it. Okay.
So we had a couple more messages from Michael. Great point, Alan, referring to Chrome. Okay, Google. You're probably right. Chrome is not the place. Curious your opinion about Windows 10 and Cortana speaking to you. I have no opinion on Windows 10 and Cortana. I haven't used it. I haven't really seen the demo of it. You know, I think natural language interfaces are good in appropriate situations, and the trick is figuring out what's appropriate. I think sign up is important, referring to signing up to use Hangouts. I hear so many folks complain about having to sign up for Google+. That's so stupid. Everyone signs up for everything nowadays. Yes, but Google+ sign up was incredibly odious. I think that the advantage is you can now sign up with just a Google account, which is what it should have been in the first place. And I think that is reasonable. Michael continues, what I love about Google Plus is you can have someone sign up with Google Plus using their Yahoo email and password, so it's one less thing or password to learn. That they can now do that with their Google account as well. They don't need to sign up. They don't need to go get the Google Plus albatross hanging around their neck. They just need a simple sign in. They just need Google authentication, and you can use your YouTube email for that. And there's hints that it'll be even easier in the future.
The real genius thing about Facebook videos is when they started the autoplay.
Right. Yeah. The autoplay counts for 3 seconds, and
I think they changed it to 30 now.
Did they? That's after violently defending 3 seconds.
Well, it's like you post a picture on Google Plus, and they count a view as if it shows up in anyone's stream. So I know that, like, I post a picture, it doesn't really have 75,000 views. You kidding me? You know, and it's got like 2 comments or +1. This doesn't make any sense. All right, moving along. The city that was once sued by Comcast now offers 10 gigabit per second internet service. There's a couple different stories here, essentially saying the same thing. It's Chattanooga, Tennessee. There's a state law called a municipal broadband ban, a ban on municipal broadband that prevents municipalities from expanding. I guess they were grandfathered in. And the conservative view is we don't want the government competing with the private sector. We don't want the government setting up a chain of hamburger restaurants to compete with McDonald's. But we
don't want the government building roads to compete with private roads.
Well, now they're doing that. They're doing the private roads. So anyway, that's the conservative view. The liberal view,
What do you mean now? They've always done private roads.
I know, but I see it becoming more of a thing. tolls revenue. They're monetizing roads. I wish they would have tolls and just lower the gas tax on diesel. Because if you have a diesel car, hi Volkswagen, if you have a diesel car, you have to pay this crazy tax that's really geared toward making truckers pay more because they tear up the roads more than cars and use them more. So anyway, Chattanooga sued or requested a ruling from the FCC and won. And the FCC said that states could no longer prevent ban a municipality from offering broadband. Now that's a wide statement, but there may be like it depends on this and this and this. And it also depended if there was an outright ban or just a ban on existing expansion, or it's complicated. But anyway, now I see Comcast is offering 2 gigabits or something in that same town to compete, and they have a 1 gigabit tier, which I think is $70, and they have a 10 gigabit tier they've announced, which is $300, which is a bargain for a business that needs that. I mean, a residential would not need 10 gigabits. I can't think of any. Can you think of anything where really you even need one? The difference from 1 to 10 is like the difference between $1 trillion and $10 trillion. What the hell are you going to spend it on?
We need to teach you about logarithms, Dan.
And I could test that. If someone wants to give me $1 trillion, I will give you feedback.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do it. Sai is offering to send us money, by the way. So send Dan $1 trillion and send me 10 trillion, and we'll do a fair comparison here.
In the end, I'll still be short, and he'll still be pissed off at me.
I'm not pissed off at you, Dan.
I know. Just
Why would I be pissed off at you? Just because you're always wrong? There's no reason to be pissed off at you.
so it looks like even at the comparable service at the lower end, Comcast is more expensive than this. And this $300, there's no setup fee, there's no early termination, there's no contract. You just pay your $300 a month. Which, like I said, for a business that needed that, that's a great price. I can't think of any residential need for that kind of speed. Can you?
Yes and no. I can certainly see there would be specialized, I would almost say industries that would do it. So if you've got cottage industries for video editing, for example, you wouldn't necessarily need, that sort of business, but it's also could be a home industry. It starts blurring the line. I really wouldn't rule out the fact that you start seeing some things like remote photo and video editing being able to be done as long as you've got a server close enough on the other end of that gigabit line, and 10 gig line.
What was that? Was it PC Anywhere or something that was big? You could log into your computer at home and from a remote location and control it, but it was slow.
There's lots of stuff that did that and do that still.
But with this kind of speed, I mean, it basically just about be in real time, right?
Again, it depends on where the bottleneck starts turning into. Because if not everything has 10 gig to you, you're not going to see that. It turns into where's the bottleneck.
Will my dad's Drudge Report load any faster? Every minute. It loads every minute. Then we got 1 trillion views this month. Okay, so that's cool. So I guess people who are logging in across the street in Chattanooga can do much faster stuff, and they won't have to cross the street to get to the other Chattanooga customer. All right, so cool. Bring it. And then next is jury orders Apple to pay $234 million for infringing on a university's patents. It could have gone, I heard number like $400 million, and then it could have been up to triple that if the judge found that they had willfully violated the patents. But the judge said yesterday or recently that he did not find that they had willfully violated it, or at least it wasn't provable that they had. And this was related to the performance of a processor or something, Alan. What do you think? That's a chunk of change for this university, which is sued since 2000 or 2010, I think since 2000, 33 companies. That's a nice chunk of change for a university.
Well, it's not bad. Unfortunately, I cannot remember exactly what what it was they were actually trying to do in this case. But I believe the latest version of the iPhones intentionally did not, were able to work around the patent.
This was iOS.
It's not iOS.
8.
It actually, you're right. It was related to their CPUs.
The 6 was
I
the
don't
last one
remember.
that used this. The 6S does not.
Okay, and I'm still not finding exactly what the exactly what it was. But let's face it, patents are out of control here. We've had this issue multiple times, and in this case, it happened to go against Apple, and previous times it's gone in favor of Apple. Maybe now Apple will do something like join Google and Microsoft and actually call for real patent reform.
Elon Musk just kind of open sourced all his patents, right? For Tesla?
He's made his patents available on an open basis. It's not open sourcing yet, but he's made his patents fairly widely available. Yeah.
Okay.
As have Google, as is Microsoft doing now, as is IBM. More and more technology companies are realizing the patents are not getting them the advantage that they used to.
Well, that's the only reason they bought Motorola, right? That's the only reason that, what was it Nortel, or I think Microsoft or somebody bought? Some big, I forget, to get the patent portfolio.
I'm not even sure where you're going with this, but okay. But yes. Well, it's not the only reason they bought Motorola, but it's no surprise that's one of the things that they still own from Motorola.
Yeah, they sold it for a song. I mean, they lost a lot, but they got the patent, so I don't know if they lost. If it let them defend against suits from other companies because they have patents. How many patents? Isn't it a ton of patents to make a phone? Like hundreds or thousands of patents you would need to use?
Sure. But, there was actually some innovation that went into all of this.
Okay.
The question turns into, just how much innovation.
And the last thing is just a little snippet here. The government plans, according to NBC News, and this happened right before the show, government plans to require anybody who uses a drone or a UAV, whatever, these quadcopters, to register it. I think that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, it depends what you mean by a drone and a quadcopter.
These hobbyist quadcopters that are anywhere from a couple $100 to $1,200, and you see them flying around in airports, and you could just buy one at Best Buy. There's no record of who owns it, and then if it was registered, you're less likely to be stupid because they could capture it, shoot it down, and then go find you because you were it was registered.
I've got some issues with it, but but I haven't seen the details here, so I can't speak to it.
My main is, there are no details yet, but my main concern would be, what if someone stole it without my knowledge and did something criminal with it, and the police came knocking on my door, and they don't believe that it was stolen?
Well, what if someone stole your car and someone came knocking on your door and the police didn't believe it was stolen? What point are you trying to make here?
Yeah, I mean, I think if
not to be stupid with your property.
If it's a flying thing, even in Virginia now, you even have to have a title on a moped. So I think if it's something that could theoretically bring down a helicopter, that you should have a registration of who owns it is not unreasonable. But that's my 2 cents. Okay. So Alan, why don't you tell me how your week was, and then you can do a last stab at comments while I'm talking after that.
It was okay. I finally got Marshmallow for my Nexus 9 tablet, and I have to say, I honestly don't know why. This is you know, I've in playing with it for, you know, an hour or two, I am astounded by just how little it really feels like it's changed. And this is after spending 2 days at I/O listening to how much has changed. Now on Tap is both misnamed and of marginal use. I suppose Doze saves battery, so they tell me. And I think the permissions will be great once they actually roll out. But I'm not seeing the big benefit of Marshmallow right now, to be perfectly honest. How was your week, Dan?
It was okay. I will. If we confirmed that, I will not get it on my Nexus 7. Right. I'm
Well,
done.
here's the thing. You will not get it from Google on your Nexus 7. However, my understanding is that there are people who have already taken the open source version of it and ported it so it works on your Nexus 7. And in fact, it probably works better than Lollipop does on your Nexus 7.
Okay. Because this is awful what I have now. It's so slow, it's not usable. It's basically just a brick.
I've been told, and I have not done this, but I've seen at least one person write up that they've gotten Marshmallow for their Nexus 7 2012, and it works fairly well. So maybe we should go figure out how to do that for you. And you'll be able to get Marshmallow sooner than most people will.
Okay. We'll chat. All right. Yeah, my week was good. I have this toothache. I've got to go get my wisdom teeth removed, which I'm not looking forward to. Actually, I'm in a panic about. So that'll be happening next week. All right. So anything else?
Yeah, so we've got an interesting comment from Michael Daniels. I'm curious, where have all the other folks that you used to have on? We killed them slowly and painfully. No, seriously. Apparently, people actually have lives. At least that's what we've been given to understand. Pam, who is usually on the show, is right at this very moment gazing over the Grand Canyon and wondering why it's raining. So Pam is on vacation currently. But we do get occasional other people dropping in, but, you know, it's Friday night. People have lives. Unlike, you know, Dan and I.
Exactly. All right. Well, we appreciate you watching. This program is every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And we're not at all jealous that Pam's at the Grand Canyon, and we're not. Every Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Until next week, thank you, and have a great Google Plus week. We'll see you